Welcome back to the $1 million Tipping Point podcast. Today we have Courtney Allen on the show, and there's some unique points about her that I'm really excited to talk about. One, her strategy for using Upwork, because you'll find out that Courtney has beasted Upwork and has made over 2 million on Upwork, which is quite amazing. She lives in Korea. I really want to know how that works with her work schedule. What does that look like with her team and working with clients globally? And then she has something called her $20 promise that she turned into a grant. So I think all of this is going to be super useful for our listeners, and especially for those of you who are freelancing or just getting into the business and how to, grow it and make it successful. Don't forget that you can head over to corporate2contract.com, my webpage, and download the 14-day sprint to starting your own business. That will give you 14 steps and be really, really useful. So Courtney, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
Courtney, she offers a unique perspective on taking a chance on oneself and addressing the world's less glamorous challenges. Her remarkable journey of starting a business at a young age, following a layoff in debt, has evolved into a thriving 7-figure company with headquarters in 2 countries and a global remote team. So, Courtney, I was talking off air a little bit about this. And for those of you who follow the podcast and know, I have, my business is coaching people how to become successful freelancers. And I found out about Courtney through my Google feed, which feeds me articles about 7-figure business owners, male or female, because they know that I click on that. And Courtney came up, and on CNBC's, they have this little section called Make It, where my feed feeds me a lot of those. And it said this person has made over 2 million in Upwork, which is a freelancer marketplace site, for those who don't know what that is. And I just was like, what? Because I was teaching a section on Upwork and strategies on how to get clients. And I would love to hear from you. What was your strategy with Upwork, and how did you really get started in it when you have no reviews? No one has, worked with you yet. What did you do to get that first client? And then how did you grow it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually am a little bit OG. So I started on Elance in 2013 before it was absorbed by Upwork, and then kind of shifted to the platform towards the end of 2015. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, overall strategy starting out was really just trying every tactic, to see what would stick. And so, of course, building out my, profile. And really the main thing was kind of building the PDF portfolio that kind of showcased different styles of work. I found that to be, and to be honest, I actually mostly use the same portfolio from 2015 today. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I do swap out different, newer decks, but overall, yeah, I found that to be kind of the key to everything. And besides that, just as I was starting out, kind of applying for new clients and job postings and stuff like that. Both trying to be efficient as possible while having, some kind of pre-prepared content for the cover letter, but still adding, specific design examples or a few kind of sentences that really sort of connected to, what the client was looking for. And so with that being said, the first client I got off of Upwork, was, I'll be honest, did not go entirely well. It was a contract for $500, and after I did the work, he paid me $50 in rand, but that did not discourage me. And I'm so happy I stayed kind of perseverant, because to be honest, the second client I got off of Upwork was contracting, doing decks for Adobe. And so once they kind of told me who they were, I freaked out internally and was fortunate to be able to work on their decks for the next couple of years after that.
So we have some really good pointers there that I want to kind of pull from it. It's like your profile was good. You made your profile. You didn't just like throw in like, by the way, I just can't believe I didn't say this to everyone, but Courtney does PowerPoint decks. So I like completely forgot to mention that. But that is what where she got her start on Upwork. But so you had a really good profile. You had a portfolio that was really good, showcased different examples. You made sure when you were responding to the proposals, the request for proposals, your own proposal had some unique sentences in there that were personalized to the client. That's something I also teach to my students, because I've hired off of Upwork and freelance sites. And when I see a generic run of the mill versus someone who actually took time to look me up at my company and see what I need and puts in a few things in there, I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you, versus someone who I just copy pasted and like went on and just had a template that they use for every client, right? So I think that makes like a big difference. And I do know Elance, I started out as a freelancer in 2014. So, and I remember Odesk. I don't remember if you know that one. That was one that I don't know I don't know if that changed its name or if it died out or whatever, but there was an Odesk and an Elance, and now maybe Upwork. Oh, they could have bought both of them. Honestly, that probably is what happened. Okay, so very interesting. Do you still work on freelancer sites, or is your business now grown to the point that you don't need to work on freelancer sites anymore?
Now still going strong on Upwork. Yeah, the difference is now I have an agency page. So I've started bringing, my project managers to help kind of filter through invites and start kind of being the main point of contact, through kind of projects that I get off of there. And yeah, I would say it has decreased a little bit, but overall, about 50% of our work still comes through Upwork.
Wow, that's really cool. So now you have people reaching out to you because you've gotten like that good.
The dream.
I did. I mean, like sometimes I'm on Upwork, I'm looking or thinking about hiring a Facebook, Instagram ads person. And I was looking at some people and thinking of like actually reaching out. And then you see how much they actually get reached out to as well from the client perspective. And you're like, whoa, this person's really popular. Like, all right. So, um, when you did your portfolios, right? I'm guessing they also looked really nice, right? Because you are an expert in PowerPoint decks. So did your portfolios have like an extra shine to them or an extra creative touch?
It's funny. I kept it relatively simple, and I wanted to let the work really kind of showcase and shine. So there weren't any sort of, too much razzle dazzle, a touch sprinkled. But overall, what I really wanted to focus on the portfolio, besides the variety of different work, was actually imbuing some of my kind of personality through the copywriting. So yeah, I added a little intro. I said, this is me with the big hair. I don't have the big hair right now, but in the portfolio, I had quite a lot of curly hair, and said this is what makes me the real deal. And yeah, just adding little kind of quips that, people called out and said, yeah, I kind of, caught their attention.
Yeah. I think that's really important to add a little bit about you and to connect. Again, it's all about connecting with the client. And if you're a client on Upwork, you get a lot of proposals from people when you post a job. And so anything that makes you stand out, which I've reiterated already, but if it makes you stand out, go for it. Just go for it. You have nothing to lose, right? Nothing to lose. So tell us a little bit about how you even got into PowerPoint deck creation, and how the layoff and the debt that you had and how you've been able to build it to this point. Because I think if I remember the article correctly, you majored in design or PowerPoint specifically.
Yeah, so really the tale begins when I was 4 years old creating PowerPoint stories for my family. And so always kind of gravitated towards PowerPoint since then, but really got serious in it in college when I decided to major in graphic design. And what I realized is that I ended up always volunteering to be the person to create the group project presentations. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, I realized, and yeah, kind of relished just the making it creative and less kind of standard than what I had seen just kind of through my education. And so, yeah, when I did my senior portfolio to graduate, I did all presentation and decided that's what I was going to focus on. And yeah, from there, after I took a gap year and tried to live my best life, coming back to reality, I got my first job contracting at Cisco Systems as a dedicated presentation designer for the senior executives. And yeah, what ended up happening, kind of the bridge from, working corporate to, going out on my own freelancing is that after 2 years, I kind of decided that I wanted to branch out and do my own thing. And so I quit that position and actually started a travel company. And so that's where the debt starts to start, rolling in, because when I did quit corporate, I really didn't have a strategic plan as far as kind of growing the travel business or, having appropriate savings, things like that. And so, yeah, definitely a learning lesson. I had a lot of fun. I took, mostly friends, but I took people on group trips throughout Asia. And then, I realized after about a year and a half of losing money, not, racking up credit card debt, that it was time to get, into freelancing and lean back into what I knew, which was presentation design.
You say that all with a smile on your face, like oh, I had credit card debt, I was losing money, it all worked out.
I can smile now. There were some tears back in the day, but yeah, to be honest, I think I had amassed about 30 to 35,000 in credit card and friends and family debt
Holy.
at that time.
And so you were able, how long did it take you to pay it off with once you started rolling with the PowerPoint deck, like presentations?
Yeah, so it took me 1.5 years to fully pay things off.
Yeah. Good for you though, for
Thank
being able
you.
to just hunker down, get the money and pay it off. Let's talk a little bit about your $20 promise and what that is, because that intrigued me when I was looking into your research, how that started out as giving $20 every week to a stranger and then it grew.
Yeah, so and I really am looking to bring that back in a new way. But yeah, it started as an initiative my senior year of high school. I moved across the country and yeah, to be honest, I didn't have like a church to go to. So I started it as kind of a alternative to tithing. And so that was sort of where the concept came from, taking part of my allowance and giving it to a stranger. And so, yeah, I continued that, as I went into college. And then, it snowballed a little bit into some bigger things. So, I would do a yearly travel grant. So I helped people, study abroad in Dublin or take their first trip out of the country to Ecuador or Italy, South Africa. And so in Japan. And so yeah, it was so much fun, and it combined my love of travel and helping people have that experience. And so I'm looking to kind of probably pivot or have an evolution of that towards study abroad grants at universities. I wanted to start it within earlier, but then as COVID hit, it was pushed back a
Mm.
little bit. So I'm hoping that will be kind of the next step.
So that's like going to be an official business along with your business right now, 16 by 9, right?
Right. And it's not really, I would say, a business per se, but mostly just kind of just a social initiative that I personally want to do, just as a way of giving back.
I like that. That's so important. And it's so interesting how it came just from giving $20. So you would just like see someone on the street or anyone just walking by and you give them $20, or did you have like a very specific like person you were looking for?
So at first it really started with literally putting $20 on like a bench like at my high school and peeking behind the tree and seeing who would pick it up. But in college it progressed to people would actually submit kind of their reasons why via an email address, and then from there kind of pick the person, and same with the travel grants, but it would be picked amongst a collection of people, anonymous people who would help me decide.
Oh, interesting. I think that's so important for our audience to hear that you can just have like a small idea and do it in your own way. It doesn't need to be this big, elaborate thing that you set up. Oh, I love that. Let's talk about a little bit. How did you end up in Korea? And how has that affected your business and running a business?
Yeah, so I will give the reasonable and unreasonable answer, but I moved to Korea under the auspices of my mom. Actually, she's been teaching abroad for 14 years now. And she was living in Seoul, Korea at the time for the past 3 years. And so yeah, it was, and before that, China for 10 years. And so I really was itching to get back over to this side of the world and be closer to her. And so that was one of the reasons. And the second, probably, I'm not gonna lie, a bit compelling reason is that I really enjoy K-pop and other kind of Korean pop culture. And so yeah, I couldn't resist the notion of being here and being able to go to K-pop concerts on a regular basis. So yeah, those are kind of two of the main reasons. I will say my mom moved to Mallorca, Spain, actually a month ago. So now I'm here by myself, but still loving it. Going on 2 years as of next month. And yeah, as far as how it's impacted, it's impacted my sleep schedule a bit. I do work a split, kind of Korean Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, as most of our clients are still in the US. So, yeah, I meet with them kind of during my late night, and then do other administrative and a little bit of project management work during my daytime. And otherwise, yeah, fortunately, I really see this as an opportunity to kind of network here and ideally expand, yeah, into more clientele in the Asia Pacific region.
Do you still do the PowerPoint or do you have someone on your team? Like, have you somehow systemized it that you have this, like, I don't know, 10 templates to pick from and someone can kind of work on them?
Well, it's funny you say that. So currently I have a team of 10 people, and so it's a mix of project managers and 6 designers. And so I will say, with the exception of some very kind of high profile decks, for the most part, my team, they're all amazing rock stars, and most of them I worked with at Cisco Systems when I worked there. So yeah, we've all been working together a long time. And so unfortunately, I don't do too much of the PowerPoint design anymore. But when it comes to templates, we're actually looking to launch a new service in the next couple of months called What the Deck. And
Woo!
yeah, what the deck is going to be kind of more of the ready-made kind of template subscription, but done a little bit differently than what you've seen on other sites. So yeah, I'm very excited for that.
That'll be cool. So what is it? Like someone can just go in and purchase a template that they like?
Yeah,
And
so oh, sorry.
no, I was wondering, I had another question, but answer that one first, please, if
Uh
you don't mind.
Yeah, so it'll be a mix of either kind of buying a one-off template or having a subscription to the overall library. But this is going to be very, I will say, more content focused, where we're creating templates that are very specific to people's needs rather than just kind of modern or blue template.
Mm.
And so, yeah, looking forward to that.
How do you think AI is changing your work? because I did end up somewhere. Where was I? I don't even remember. Was it Microsoft Designer? I don't know. It sent me an email. And I was like, oh, interesting. And it like kind of created a lead magnet and a PowerPoint deck for me. I mean, are you using AI? Do you see it as a competition, or are you looking at it as like something like I'm going to embrace and use it and or teach people how to use it and expand on it?
Yeah, I definitely think AI is something to be embraced and something that we can utilize. And yeah, we actually have someone on the team who has given a couple presentations to the whole team in group meetings about kind of different new AI tools and how we might be able to implement them. And we've already started using it a little bit, as far as kind of AI image generation instead of necessarily having to download everything through stock photos and things
Mm.
like that. But yeah, I'm excited as far as, with these new platforms like Tome and Beautiful AI, stuff like that. Yeah, I think they're really taking a lot of kind of the tedious parts of and more of the pixel perfect alignment portions out of the presentation design. And it's really giving more space for kind of using our strategic thinking and creativity to kind of, use that as a base to save time and then really kind of up level from there. So yeah, I'm excited to see where, how AI will continue to impact us in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I there's still so many parts of AI that I don't think I've really checked out thoroughly. Like I looked at like one of the design things and I got impatient with it and I like X'd out. But then there's like, like the image stuff. I haven't explored that enough. I've been mostly using it for copy and writing and stuff like that. So like you've been talking about your team a lot, which is great. And you mentioned to me off air you have employees and contractors. Can you tell us why you have both and what the services are of each and benefits and pros and cons of employees and contractors?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a group of people, yeah, spread out across the world. So those that the people that are in India and Poland, they are contractors. And yeah, primarily they focus on the design portion and yeah, they are the foundation and really have yeah, really carrying the company on their backs. But yeah, besides that, in the US, I have a couple of employees. So I have one full-time graphic designer slash junior project manager. I have one contractor that is senior project manager and also does some operations. And then another full-time employee who yeah, has kind of evolved from initially being kind of accounting manager to doing more business development and kind of communications lead. And then over here in Korea, I have one full-time employee who's my executive assistant.
Very cool. All right. What do you think are some challenges you've had when hiring? And what advice do you have for women as they grow their team?
Yeah, that is hiring has definitely been a big learning curve for me personally. Because yeah, I the pros and cons is that a lot of people I've hired have been people that I've known as far as people I've worked with before or people who have been friends and things like that. And of course, it gets to be yeah, you just have to be careful as far as if you do end up mixing, of course, personal and professional relationships and things like that. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of kind of, lessons and communications with each other as far as, how to navigate that. And besides that, yeah, I've really leveraged LinkedIn a lot for hiring. And, we do a interview process, but we also keep it relatively short, in consideration of, people's time. And at the last step, we do kind of a paid portfolio test or a paid sample test as far as graphic design skills, yeah, to make the final decision. And overall, I would say a combination of that and also getting a fractional HR person has really helped a lot as well.
Awesome. That's really interesting. What do you think has changed with your own leadership and management style, especially as you've moved across time zones and then growing your team and having employees and contractors? Where do you think you've gone from where you began hiring to where you are now with your leadership and management?
I think that's where the most transformative growth has been on my side, and particularly in the past 2 years, because I've built this as a fully remote team and company. Yeah, it is a additional challenge to kind of build that company culture and connection with one another. And yeah, at first when I started out, to be honest, it was very autonomous, where I would give people assignments and it was very much kind of strictly professional. And yeah, adding communication tools over the years like Slack and having, quarterly one-on-ones and having group monthly team meetings. And finally, actually, we just got back from Bangkok from our first team offsite, where all of us met together for the first time. And that was super exciting. And I think that made such a difference. And yeah, so just being able to, I've learned to kind of, yeah, stay connected, and strengthen those ties with my team. And also, step up and kind of give people clear roles and responsibilities, and also be able to delegate more effectively as well.
What do you think is a one piece of advice you could give for building culture with a remote team that you have found has really helped your business?
Yeah, so what I have found really helps is just adding I would say adding some fun. And so and also truly getting to learn about people's personal interests. So one of the first things we do as a new team member comes in, or when we first started doing this in general, is having everyone do a quick like 5-10 minute presentation about 5 things about them. And yeah, it helped us be able to quickly see, some commonalities, some interests, and some interesting facts about one another that, yeah, we're able to kind of carry on and, kind of start personal conversations or Slack threads with one another. Yeah, just based off of that.
I had a client once, back when I was a VA, who had like his team was, all over US, UK, different places. And they decided to do a like monthly team gathering where they actually just met with like 5 or 6 people in the company and just get to know them, share your favorite music. It was there was themes for all of these. And then they would send out a newsletter. So even if you weren't in that specific little group, they'd send out a newsletter with these people. And I remember someone listed something like some kind of music that I hadn't seen anyone else like, and I liked it too. And I was like, oh, great. So I connected with them. I chatted with them. Then I find out they loved Lord of the Rings, which is like one of my favorite movies. And then we like, and books, and we just went on and on. And like, he was buying candles by the end of the conversation. I was like, wow, what a like, so like, and some people were, negative about it. Like, oh, do we have to do this? Like, I'm too busy. But then it was like so great to have this like connection with someone in the UK that I had never met, and just really like now, like be able to like talk to him one-on-one randomly about things I learned and that he might enjoy. So it is important, I think, when you're remote and you can get into like just giving tasks. It's so easy to just get caught up when you're not seeing these people all the time, to just give tasks over and over again. And that's it. So what do you think was the most important step you took to grow your business from 6 figures to 7 figures?
Yeah, I would say oh, there are a few things that all came together, but I will say really, I think getting clear on, if I could say a couple of things, I would say getting really clear on our ideal client. So yeah, actually the what helped the shift from six figures to seven figures is that when we were at six figures in 2021, we had 365 clients a year. And yeah, we were doing a lot of one-off projects and stuff like that. And so, yeah, as I came into 2022, I really wanted to narrow down even further what types of clients I wanted, and getting a a CMS to figure out, you know, what titles, who are the right people to target. And so, yeah, coming into 2022, we actually reduced the client count significantly by over 100 clients, and yeah, still increased our revenue by over 25%, just because we were maintaining bigger contracts, more long-term relationships. And yeah, I think that was one of the big things. And the second one definitely was hiring a couple more key people to fully flesh out the team and kind of allowed me to step out of the day by day, so I'd have more time to do strategy and start working on sales and marketing and those things that kind of fell through the cracks by being so focused on yeah, kind of touching every client. And I would say the third thing was probably I'm trying to think. The third thing I would say is yeah, overall just kind of refining our processes. So we looked and we saw what was kind of inefficient and what and some of those things where we were underestimating some projects, and we were spending too much time with kind of redundant processes in our project management flow. And so yeah, we looked and kind of revamped those, and I think that helped save a lot of time and let us be more accurate with our project scoping as well.
Mm. I hear that a lot, to like systemize it or automate it, and then make sure that it's very clear, and like the kind of what you're saying with the process, make sure that's you can cut out anything that's not relevant. What do you think is your best and worst investment thus far?
Best and worst investment. Best investment, not to sound like a broken record, but definitely has been my team. A lot of my team, like I mentioned, I've worked with yeah, since the very beginning. And yeah, I've continued to try to pour into them, and they've done the same to me. But if I were speaking from a more technical or different aspect, I will say probably my project management system. So originally I used Asana, which I loved, and then we shifted over to ClickUp. I think towards the beginning of this year, and yeah, again going with being able to add some of those automations, and they have some AI tools as well. That's yeah, really sped up the overall assigning process and things like that. As far as worst investment, um, I would say, we've been experimenting as we're trying to diversify and not have so much focus be on just kind of receiving work on Upwork and being more proactive as far as getting new clients and things like that. We've tried a few different methods, one of which was, yeah, a company that helped with appointment setting and things like that. And yeah, overall, it felt like it wasn't quite the right fit for us, as far as yeah, they weren't able to quite reach sort of our target clients and things like that. So yeah, that ended up not necessarily panning out, but I still learned a lot in the process.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things, marketing and sales companies, that like if you see results, it's worth every single penny. But when you don't, it's like, oh, that was a waste of money. It's like I've heard that before on my podcast. Can you tell me about a time that maybe you had a customer that was unhappy, and how did you rectify it? How did you work through it?
Yeah, these things do happen. And I will say, I do pride myself for this because when I was in elementary school, and you took the test as far as what would be your ideal career, the one that came up for me was hostage negotiator. So so fortunately, I combined with previously having managed a hostel, which helped me refine those skills. I will say, yeah, I'm very good at kind of talking with clients that may be unhappy. The project didn't hit the mark, or maybe budget misalignment, stuff like that. And yeah, I really try to talk to them tactfully, but also clear and, reference. I always have written documentation and, yeah, what I try to do, especially if it's, design related, is always coming back and saying, at no cost, would love to take another shot um, at kind of the design work, stuff like that, and yeah, get more feedback from you just to make sure that we're 100% aligned, so that when we do the second kind of pass, that yeah, it hits and exceeds your expectations. And yeah, I found a lot of times clients are really pleased by that offer. And yeah, it normally ends up kind of saving the project and being able to finish it out successfully.
That's good advice, especially the at no cost, trying to make sure that they're feeling good about it and that you're going to do another stab. Do you think you've made any big mistakes or had any big challenges in your business that you've learned from?
Hmm. I would say yes. And I'm trying to think of how to speak about it most um kind of democratically, but yeah, I would say we gained and lost one of our biggest contract, or probably our biggest contract ever. It was a six-figure contract for a company, and we did the project, or did the event, the first year, and actually it went incredibly well. All great reviews, things like that. But unfortunately, there ended up being I let an employee go who happened to be um, had a deep connection with that organization, and so as they left, that contract left as well. And so yeah, what I kind of learned through that was really, again, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but the emphasis on relationship building and things like that, because even when we worked on that project the first year, I kind of let them take charge, and I sort of took the back seat, so I didn't have the opportunity to really deepen my relationship with that company as well. And so yeah, that's just kind of one thing I remember, a
So you
learning
wish
lesson.
you had gotten more involved with the client since they were such a big client, not let someone else run with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes when you're placing, especially in an agency, when you have people working on different clients and then you have to move them even to a different client or a different project. I've seen emails go out sometimes which are really like trying to ward off any anger, especially if they're attached to that person, that's just like, hey, I just want to let you know it's going to be great, though. You're going to have a great new person coming on this. It's just kind of funny that the measures you have to take to try to keep people happy and not get them scared or nervous, or why is this person getting taken off my business and my account and whatnot. So where do you see your business going in the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, so in the next 2 to 5 years, so the first thing, of course, is what the deck, as I mentioned, which hopefully will launch in December. We're actually putting up the teaser website, I think, later this week, so I'm very stoked. But And so I hope that kind of helps capture, some of the missing pieces of our market, because yeah, 16 by 9 focuses on a lot of kind of customized and high end stuff. But honestly, a lot of people just need things, done quickly, or just a little bit of, help from us. And yeah, I'm hoping that will be one component of the future strategy. And the second one is we really want to continue to focus a lot on working with corporations on events and conferences, stuff like that. We love working on bulk presentations, and getting in there, and doing 40 or 50 decks, at a time. And so, yeah, hoping to also kind of lean more into that. And yeah, I'm just hoping in the next few years, we'll continue to kind of establish ourselves in this Asia Pacific region, and yeah, continue slow world domination. And who knows, maybe set up a European office in the next 3 years.
I just thought of a question that I guess I should have asked way earlier, but it didn't occur to me. When you do these PowerPoint decks, do you actually take all their information and put it in there too? Or is it like a template you send to them and then they put in their information and then you take it back and you work, maybe you put some animations in depending on how much they want? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so for the most part, we actually do almost everything design wise from scratch. And so, what we will normally receive is one of two things. If it's a corporation with their already kind of established branding and template, they will send over kind of their unpolished deck, and we will, clean it up, more production level, just kind of making the look and feel more cohesive and stuff like that. On the other side, sometimes clients, if they're a startup or a new business, don't have any sort of established branding. And yeah, we work with them to come up with kind of their own look and feel. And then normally they just give us either a Word document with kind of their content laid out, or a blank deck, and yeah, from there we'll bring it to life.
Mm. My husband has to do like presentations internally. Whenever he sees PowerPoints, I cringe because I'm pretty good at PowerPoint. I don't like doing it, but I can make a nice PowerPoint. I can help you like bring the image in, make the image fade out. I can do the design and stuff. But like, I'm always like, do you want me just to have those words come in one by one? And he's like, no. It's like a white, like maybe the logo of his company, the Microsoft. He works for Microsoft, so maybe the Microsoft logo's there, and then he just like has everything is just bullet points with a little spreadsheet screenshot. I'm like, so much wasted potential here. You could really stand out. So what advice do you have for women as they're trying to grow their own business and maybe want to hit 7 figures? Why do you think some women fail or just hit roadblocks and don't make it there?
Yeah, my advice would be, and actually, right before we started talking, I got off of a call with this young woman I'm mentoring, and she was, kind of talking about how a lot of times, she feels like imposter syndrome, or feels like she needs to, like, is she overvaluing herself and stuff like that. And yeah, what I really I'm all about advocating for yourself, especially as a woman, and that's whether you're starting your own business or even in your workplace. As far as yeah, with each client, you know basically trying to negotiate and get charged up, fairly, and what your worth is. And yeah, I would say really a lot of it is kind of mindset. And the two things to really get started is just one, getting started, because it's never going to be, the perfect conditions to start a new business. And then as far as growing, to 6 and 7 figures, I would say it really comes down to consistency and just being, consistent with your clients, being consistent with the quality of your work, day in and day out. And I think from there, naturally you grow and opportunities start finding their way to you.
You have given us so much good information in this, and I really appreciate it. Can you tell us a little bit about where we can find your business, 16 by 9, where you can find you on social media or your business on social media? And if you have anything else you want to share, this would be a great time to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find 16 by 9 at 16x9design.com. You can also find the What the Deck website coming soon at whatthedeckdesign.com and wtdeck.com as well. And then, social media on LinkedIn. You can find me under Courtney Allen, 16 by 9. I should show up. And for those who enjoy food photos, travel photos, things like that, you can also follow my Instagram at Courting Adventure, which is the remains of my travel company. That's what it was named. So that's where you can find me online.
Nice. Thank you so much. What is one philosophy, mantra, or quote that you try to run your business by?
Yeah, so I gave a little bit of it away just now, but I will say to hit you with some alliteration, I like to follow the 3 C's, which is communication, connection, and consistency. And I think those 3 main things have been the key to growing this business to where it's at and hopefully where it will be in the future.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Courtney. We really appreciate it. And all the women who are listening appreciate it. And remember, if you're part of the audience listening to this, make sure you sign up for our Tipping Jar of Wisdom, the newsletter that goes out with the podcast, because you will get exclusive content with Courtney on how to grow your business. So again, thank you so much. Super duper appreciate it, Courtney. And for those on our audience, you can find me on LinkedIn, Kiri Mohan, or Instagram at virtually Kiri.